And his comment was, I want discussions regarding the Madison County Rescue Squad to be public. One liner, that's what.
Got it. All right, other public comment.
So can you like now just call this stuff in?
What?
Read letters, call it in?
Yes,
not
but
have
we,
to show up.
yeah, that is true, but we really like seeing your face, Joe, man. I don't think anybody can convey your message like you. So we prefer you to be here. Whichever way you want to do it. Do we have anybody on Vimeo that would like to make a comment?
They have lost feed. They've been kicked out. I
They
think.
should have it right now.
He's trying. He's working on it.
Unfortunately, the camera went belly up on me.
All right, the camera is not working. We are going to do public comment again. If you do have public comment, we do encourage you to stick with us. There's nobody talking on the go-to-meeting deal, but we'll see how it goes. Tell the Vimeo people to do the go-to-meeting. Maybe that'll work better. All right, consent agenda. We have pulled the CARES Act supplement out of it. What, D and E, yes. I do have A, B, C, E, and F. Anybody have?
I have a quick question. So I admit that it wasn't clear. So D and E were what we covered a minute ago, and I guess I did have a question about D, because the supplement. I'll pull it so I can. It's probably an MJ question. It's from expense account type is the electoral board fees.
No, that's a typo.
Okay,
The actual account number is right.
all right.
It's I recognize
That confused me a little bit, so I'm good.
But if you look at the actual account, the account number is right on there. But, yeah, it's in the wrong. Okay. The description's wrong.
I think we're out of order too. We have two E's, so that might have confused.
All right, it should be F and G. We have pulled D and E. So it should be D, E, F, G. And we are now getting F and G would be included with A, B, and C.
And Mr. Chairman, for purposes of clarification, F and G, F reads supplement 21-11 IT financial software selection consulting. Supplement 21-12 sheriff body camera service contract.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Kevin, are you good?
I'm good, yeah.
All right. What would y'all like to do?
I would move to approve the remaining consent agenda items as corrected by legal counsel.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, the sheriff has asked us to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Is this working?
No, he said he's off again. I think he went outside to check his.
Yeah. All right, we're having technical difficulties, which frankly is no real surprise. Doesn't reflect on staff or lack of technology. All right, county officers and county departments, organizations, and whatnot. Ms. Fry, have we gotten any applications?
No. The one man did email, but then when I sent him the form, I heard nothing more.
That's a bad sign, Ms. Fry. That's a bad sign. All right, Mr. Weaver said we're live again. Thank you. We are looking for applicants for the IDA. We've had 4 people resign.
How come?
What? Because you have to disclose all your financial stuff.
Thank
In
you.
the state of Virginia and the public at large. It's unfortunate that we have, it's good to have rules. It's unfortunate that we've run off some very, very qualified people. And if you are a qualified person, we encourage you to apply and we appreciate it. Got anything else, Ms. Fry? Mr. Gordon, you got anything back there? Not this time, no, sir. Daniels?
Yeah, I included, the, personal property, historical trends,
total personal property is 5.4 million in assessed value. That's trending up at 3%. I think the average of the last 5 years is like 3.5%. So just a 0.5% drop off. I don't see anything that's really causing any kind of alarm or anything. Of course, these values are before these are January 1 values. So the COVID doesn't really have any sway in any of these numbers. PPRA 32.8%. The tax rate, I'll qualify to it. That's trending down as usual. Even in talks from the state, pulling that away altogether. We'll see where that goes. Look over the numbers. If you have any questions, I'll be certainly. Cardi, I hope I got back to a couple of your emails there. I can talk to Stephanie tomorrow. Of course, like I said, see anything that you have any questions on, I'll be happy to go with you. I don't see anything that as far as certain classes, all percent class.
Questions for Ron? Moving along, Ms. Berry.
We're moving along with, Ms. Locke and I, we had Sunday today. Roger got our new, plexiglass that the judge requested in the courtrooms, and they, look far better than plexiglass has been. They did a really good job. They're actually big enough, so as much as I dislike them, they'll fit that I think that they are very nice. Other than that, we're just working on getting the technology improvements all implemented in the courtroom so that everything will work as well as it can. I'm sure there's something else forgotten.
What about the urinals?
What?
No, that is so far outside my daily limit. You don't ever come in.
She's saying she can't reach him.
That name.
All right, we can all have wing comments on that. Thank you for the work, Laura. Livingston, what do you got for us?
No, I can't top that.
No.
I believe everything's working now with the microphone and camera got hung up. Well, ordered the technology from Miss Clarissa. We're going to be getting her webcam set up for her so that she can go from one courtroom to the other and not have everybody in the same room. Worked with Miss Lita last Friday to turn back some data connections so she can have her court set up to webcam into the jails and all that different stuff. We just made a decision that we're not gonna have time to move to put the server or the data room in the 400 building before we gotta start working on the ERP. Server's gotta be online before that. So I'm in the process over here with Brian in his area, trying to evaluate the power and the data connections into that. Get some electricians in there to upgrade that. The sheriff's PBX, Charles today, and I met with Brian, and we're gonna end up having our best option will be to migrate them into the existing Mitel system that everybody uses. So we've got to get that plan with Charles today, and we're helping him get the sheriff's network segmented so he can have the sheriff's data, the cam phone, camera, that data all separated to keep it secure. Look, put VPN in the EMS building because they're not going to possibly have the tower available soon. And Larissa's point, we're also looking to get VPN put into the CID building because if it storms, rains, wind blows real hard, they lose their connection. I'm like Clarissa, I'm sure forgetting stuff.
Good Lord. One thing to add on the electrical supply for so Motorola is doing this electrical study. As soon as we get the new servers in for the next gen system, which should be the 1st of October, there's concern that load panels in that server won't handle the radio system.
concern at this point. There's nothing to support that we're doing the study. But Bruce is, it's all going to fall into the same thing. You know, that we have no question. I don't think we'll have an issue. We should know prior to it. Absolutely.
Good for you making your rounds. Thank you. Mr. Carpenter, what's going on in the planning commission?
Right now, we're working on discussion of a couple of amendments to update the subdivision ordinance. One has to do with just adding wording for the event venue, and another one has to do with updating the R3 subdivision.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. And then doing a little bit of work, you said the R3, but it's specifically up there on Courthouse, right below Courthouse Mountain, in between Courthouse Mountain and Route 29. Trying to figure that out.
That's what started the discussion.
Great job with it. Roger?
Main thing we're doing is mowing grass, and we got two AC units giving us some problems, and working on them. I sent you an email about the governor or his people are proposing a trash tax to the landfill. So you can forward that to see if it's not something we need to send a letter to or something to that we're against it.
Yes, sir. I'm listening to you.
So I think that's all.
All right. Roger sent me on this is trash tax has been proposed by the governor's amended budget. The budget is currently under consideration of the General Assembly. We are asking you to contact who is this Vicky Esposito?
Southwest Virginia's Solid Waste Management Association.
All right. They're asking us to contact our delegates and senators to ask them to vote against this. Language in the amended budget. It's in the governor's proposed budget released on 8/18, and it's letter E. The Secretary of Natural Resources, in consultation with the Secretary of Agriculture and Forestry, shall study and develop a plan to require landfill operators pay a solid waste disposal fee or a tipping fee for each ton of solid waste received at the landfill. Such fees shall be in addition to any fee established by a locality pursuant to 15.2-2159 Code Virginia. The plan shall include recommendations for the amount and structure of any proposed fees, and recommendations for use of any revenue that may be generated from such fees. The plan shall be submitted to the Governor and General Assembly no later than November 1st, 2020. That's great. That's good. All right, moving on. Anybody have any questions on any of that, or if you don't want to stop, please ask these people something. I apologize for not asking anybody. John Shearer, how are we doing back there?
Working on the county EOP, just trying to update that. I know that's a basic overall plan. As they say, without a plan, there is a plan, but it's a broad plan. So, working on updating that. Tier 2 hazmat reporting. We got addresses in the county with certain amounts of hazardous material that are required to report that hazardous material to us so that we can at least put that on the fire department iPads. That's my goal anyway. It doesn't do any good to report that information and then just put it on the shelf. We're going to get that information on the fire trucks. They get that address. They get to the scene. At least they know where the hazardous material is and look it up in the properties and take appropriate action. So, trying to get that squared away. Working with VDM on PPE. Working with the Virginia Department of Health. Right now, target date for free flu shots at the firehouse is October 1. They're going to try to do a drive-through type deal. That's that's about it. Working on stuff that we can mess with.
County doing fairly well when it pertains to COVID.
Yeah, I mean, literally, if you're talking about COVID, we're in a pretty good spot in Madison. The numbers I think today, I don't check them every day, it's like 96, 6, and 2 since March. We're in a pretty good spot. Just if anybody's curious and they want to look into it, I found something kind of interesting the other day. I always kind of look at stuff. Apparently, they're finding this in the wastewater down in Stafford. The virus is in the wastewater. I'm like, you want to throw your hands up because at first you're told it only survive on a surface for 4 hours. I really don't, like I said, not an epidemiologist, read all these articles. But yeah, Google that one if you want. I don't know where that's going, but if you're finding this in the wastewater, I don't really get accurate numbers about using that.
Thank you, John Sheriff. Ma'am, insight into wastewater?
Well, so I've got a kid at UVA, and so they're tapping the wastewater there to see what you probably heard the story, to see where what dorms might have an active case in it, which I think is kind of interesting.
What I found fascinating was this isn't something new that they just pulled out of the air. They've been doing this for years to identify other viruses in different areas of the country, which who would have known? Who would have known unless you're in that business? So, yeah, look at wastewater and I know what kind of good terms.
There you go.
So John, do you have any responsibility to the school system? How do you interact with the school
Oh, yeah,
system?
absolutely. Yeah, I've ordered some stuff through VDM for the schools, and I actually ordered 40 touches thermometers the other day, but I haven't seen them. So, like I said, yeah, I try to interact with them.
Barry's on here. We'll ask him here in a couple minutes how the first day went. Jeff,
Sir.
good to see you. I know we've got some other stuff on the agenda for you here shortly. Got anything to report just in generality?
Well, we had 163 responses last month, average 11 response time, which is pretty good. Our personal protective equipment supply is excellent right now, and we are fully staffed, so I don't think we can go into more COVID stuff in a better position. I'd like to thank the board for your support. I think you guys have been great. You haven't asked for it's tremendous. Thank you guys.
I wish we could take credit for this, but I think it's more John Scherer, Hobbs, all the staff that does a good job every damn day of the week. All right, Ms. Lau.
Well, we've been busy. In August, we did 186 deed instruments, 29 judgments, we did 9 marriages, and 10 probate estates. We sent $80,659 to the state, which was a big month for us, and the county got $21,644. We did 42 concealing everything, 9 civil cases. Like Clarissa said, we had court today, our term today went really well. Roger did an excellent job getting everything for the plexiglass. It looks really, really good, and he had a very short time to work from what the judge wanted done. And that looks great. They've also put in the touchless bathroom equipment, so I don't know if that works as far as answering your question. So we've got that ready. We still have not been approved yet to hold jury trials yet. We're still waiting for the state to hear from that. But as far as court goes, we have court today, tomorrow, we have mediation Thursday, so we're busy.
I really want to ask you what you're doing with free time, but it sounds like y'all are moving and shaking out there.
I did get the Polycom equipment price on that, so I need to get with Jack to get that approved. And I'm just waiting on one more price on the projector. I think I'll have all the equipment that we need.
Great. All right. Jared. Good to see you, Jared.
I also want to thank John, he's helped us a lot. Thanks, and Sandy really helped us. Currently, we're hosting athletics in photography, nature, fitness, soccer, and a yoga class. All social distance, of We're having 3 movies in the park, all the 50 movies except for the 11th, 26th, October 6th, October 30th. We have a grid on the ground where each family has to stay in their own little space to watch the 3 movies. We had sponsors from Subway, 84 Lumber, Over the Top Chef, Miranda's, and Artillery Bookkeeping for those movies. It's like $350 a piece to go to. Upcoming, we're having Youth in the Park, and it's September 19th. We had a Ford Explorer, 2000 Ford Explorer, just got projected, and we were wondering if we could get the 2010.
They want to trade the Explorer for John Shearer's old Tahoe. We're really good at selling these surplus vehicles. They are worth at least $150 to $175. Yes.
Tahoe doesn't have inspection.
The Russell McGee. That's the story I got.
No, they went past inspection. It's out there at the yard right now.
Yeah, fix the motor, fix the motor.
Can I see if it'll pass inspection?
Yeah, I know a guy who knows a guy.
It's like this, I got a Explorer I could have been. No, I mean, can I take it and see if it gets inspected?
You're a tactful soul, Jerry. You really are.
I mean, I got an Explorer, that failed inspection too.
Yeah, if you can, does anybody have any, you need a vehicle too, Mr. Frye? Family vehicle? The sheriff says it won't pass either, but Jerry, I've got confidence in him. All right, does anybody have any heartache with Jerry trying to get this thing to pass inspection?
Yeah, if you get it, get it inspected.
I'm less anxious about Jerry using something that's borderline than I am emergency services coordinator.
Well, we're gonna put a whole lot of miles and stuff in here. It's just, we got one vehicle that's, the other one's 10 years old, and that's.
Sheriff is very skeptical of your Tahoe passing an inspection, but we didn't, I want to use the word encourage, but I don't think that's the right word at all. Try it, see how it goes. And you're also looking for a
We
truck.
got trucks, nice things. We got another truck we used to pull a trailer with.
Jeff, the old turned in a truck, I'm sure it's in fine condition.
We're the last stop for the truck.
You have a surplus old, utility truck, yeah. I don't know if that's a-
I mean, I got to.
Hold on.
No, I'm not really following what you're saying, but if you're talking about switching vehicles from a county department to Parks and Rec, they have a separate auto insurance policy. So I need to know about anything that you guys are talking about.
Work with MJ.
Before you do it.
Work with MJ
We'll let you know.
on auto insurance that I'm sure we'll need for these fine vehicles. See what you can do.
Stockpile, I just want to turn it in.
So you're just switching out is what it
Turn
looks
it
like.
in, a bigger piece of junk, and get a smaller piece of junk.
Really moving in the right direction.
Also, so it also, because Parks and Rec is actually a separate legal entity, it has to be retitled.
It has to be retitled.
It has to be retitled, and it has to, and the insurance has to.
We've been through this all the time.
I know, but I'm just saying, but it needs, you need to go through me to be able to do that. So I have the titles and I do the insurance.
Talk to our auto person, MJ. She wears several hats. Does anybody have any heartache with them trying this other fine vehicle that Jeff's got as well? See what you can do, Jerry. Yoga looks like it's paying off. Oh, that's unfortunate. Anything else good going on out there?
That's it.
Good for you. You've done good vehicle. All right. Barry, we see you're on the go to meeting. You want to report anything from the schools, the first day of school? Anybody have any questions for Barry? I'm glad the first day went well. I'm sure your staff is working as hard as they can. Everybody's thinking of y'all. Thank you, Barry. Know somebody is on from DSS. Is that Valerie or somebody? All right, Celine and Valerie. Y'all have any comments? I don't think they have a microphone. No, they're doing great. They say they're just listening, so I'm glad they're on here too. All right, moving on. Old business, Mr. Hobbs, tell us about the COVID-19 status and state of emergency.
Quiet.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. MJ, I apologize.
So I want to emphasize to everyone that you did a major debt financing. You have 3 ongoing construction projects, and you have $2 million worth of CARES money, which keeps moving around. There are significant accounting requirements related to all of them, and I'm talking general ledger work. I have been doing an extensive amount of hands-on general ledger work because I am the only one in my department that can do it. No one else knows how to do it. But that has, I think everyone should be aware of the fact that those 3 things are putting a substantial time burden on my department. That's outside of everything else that's going on. In addition to the fact that we lost an accounts payable person, I know there's been high priority to see a revised job description. In my opinion, the first priority is to find someone that can pay the county's bills. I can't do that. I don't have time to do it. So we have found somebody to be training her. I would say right now that's taking me somewhere between 20 and 25% of my week spending time with a brand new accounts payable. So all of those things are cumulative. I have done some work on looking at VACO descriptions for the type of job we're thinking about. I haven't gotten very far on that because by the next meeting, I have something more to present on that. But the financing and construction projects and CARES, all of them are, you're running into my audit season now, where I'm at a point where I need to start doing the audit, and I'm straining to keep up with all of this accounting. I have to emphasize that the fact that we have not found a way, the CARES money, it started in June, and we got one list, and then we got another list, and then we got another list, and we still don't have a list. And every time we revisit that, it's more time and more work. The fact that we made no appropriation until August means that I can't charge things without an appropriation. So I had to charge everything to the general fund, and it has to be moved. So a huge amount of manual general ledger work that I've been doing to try to keep up with CARES. It is extremely important that we keep current on that because you will lose control of your books if you don't do that. It has to be done before anything else can be done. The base level meat and potatoes accounting work, doing that, keeping the budget current, and paying bills are really, really important. And fortunately for us, since I've been here, we've always been able to, that stuff has always been back burner stuff, it's just gotten done. But I'm straining to get that stuff done right now. So what else is on my plate right now is I'm still working on trying to come up with sub-award agreements for the things that you agree to give to outside organizations. I know there's still, I don't know where we stand with the Boys and Girls Club, whether you want to give them the money or you don't, but I need to have an answer on that pretty soon. I tried to call the 4-H, whatever it is, and I have not gotten a response from them yet.
Other than those, the 4-H and boys and girls, have you gotten any of the other sub-recipients?
Well, no, I haven't done anything because I need to come up with a draft document. There's a lot of flexibility in terms of this idea that people are just gonna send in copies of bills and we're gonna pay them. Well, actually, in a lot of cases, we don't have to do that. We don't have to require people to hand bills in. It depends on how you assess these outside organizations' ability to comply and track and keep track of their funds. And you have to do essentially due diligence on every person you give money to. You have to go in and ask them questions. How are you keeping, you have to have basic, you have to evaluate their internal controls is what I'm trying to say. And I have to have documentation that I've done that. So I'm in the middle of that process. It's not done yet. I am working on it. That's all I can tell you.
With the due diligence side of this, I mean, you would be able to set up some type of template that would provide them some type of accountability.
There's a huge amount of difference between a Madison Learning Center and a Boys and Girls Club. Boys and Girls Club gets lots of federal money anyway. They know how to, and they have professional accounting staff. So when you look at something like that and they have a carved out program with payroll and everything, are we gonna ask them to give us bills and payroll registers? No, we don't do stuff like that. We had a victim witness program from DCJS. Same exact circumstance, federal money flowing through the state. The state doesn't ask us for copies of bills or payroll registers. They rely on our internal controls. But the point is, not only do you have to do that, you have to have a document that you made an evaluation of each one of these organizations, and then you have to tailor what you asked back from them based on that evaluation. I have to have, so it's not a simple churn it out, come up with a template kind of thing. It actually requires some thought. And I think literally, if I had 3 days to devote to doing nothing but that, I could get it all done. But I haven't had 3 days. So I'm still working on that. I hope to have it done soon. But I think that there's not an understanding of the amount of work and documentation involved in that process.
You have a staff, a temp person?
She's only doing accounts payable.
Okay.
So I want to add some other things here. Another thing that came up last week, which Tilly and I have been talking to the attorney about, is that there is I guess the federal government is allowing employees to take a payroll tax holiday until December. And unfortunately, although most of us agree it's probably not a good idea for anybody to take advantage of that, we do have to have notification out to employees. And it has to be done because it's effective 9/1 and our first payroll after that is 9/15. Tilly has to have payroll done by this Friday. We basically have to have something out in writing which has to go through Sean by Thursday. So that's another thing on my agenda, which is probably because people don't even know that I've been working on that, but I've been working on that a lot. I'm still confused about what we're doing with CARES allocations. We weren't final last time. I know I said in the last meeting that I thought I could use about $195,000 worth of CARES money. Where does all of that stand? Where do additional increments stand right now? Do we have an updated list?
Generated the list after the next meeting, and I thought I circulated that, but I will.
I also have significant concerns about the timing and.
I will get you a new, what else? What timing on?
Timing and substance of the proposed budget workshop. Which I guess I can talk about in detail. I need to say something that I have a seriously ill family member.
Yes.
And I must go out of town for probably, it's probably gonna be more than 1 day, sometime before the end of this month. I actually pushed it back because I didn't think I I could do it before the second board meeting. I need to do that. I don't know that I can do a budget workshop. No one has asked me this, but I don't think I can do one. I can't promise I can have everything done by.
It is part of old business 6. And, I think at this point, Bob's correct me. At this point, it's kind of fluid and we can work around some schedules based on when everybody gets together. The big thing with the budget work session is what the state does to us. And we really don't know where that is at this point at all. Have we gotten a whole lot of information from the state from the recent session? Or is it notice from you? Good, so they're doing great.
So,
So we're,
you have 2 options
okay,
with your budget.
good,
You don't get to pass a new budget.
agreed,
You only get to, you only can affect spending.
yes,
You can decide, okay, there are certain things in my adopted budget that I'm not going to appropriate.
absolutely,
I'm going to appropriate less. The other thing you can do is you can appropriate more.
yes,
So theoretically, changes in revenues that you don't think are going to affect expenditures. So say the state cuts your budget $300,000 and you decide, we're not gonna change our budget.
but,
There's nothing that you need to do with that.
but,
If you find out that you're going to have a $200,000 negative or positive variance of revenue, you don't, unless you intend to spend money, unless the impact of that revenue change, unless it affects your expenditures, you need to do nothing with that. It's just a budget variance. It just rolls through your budget.
but we do know that we have to do a second appropriation based on the biannual appropriation. And if that cut from the state is substantial enough, we will need to reduce the appropriated amount at that time, correct?
You have the choice of doing that. You could also decide to use fund balance.
Yes, ma'am.
I can tell you, you will have, and I told you this back when you closed on the loan, you will not need to appropriate the full amount of debt service because the debt service that's in the budget is different. That number is already baked in. I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
but there is most of the other things that are going to impact the budget are handled through supplemental, or should be handled through supplemental appropriations. So it's not like you're going to see a new budget, but I guess I am confused as to what you want to do at that meeting, and we can talk about it later. But
We're gonna get to that in old business. Just clicked over to where the proposed tentative date on that work session, we're out of order, is October 7th at 5 p.m. And we do have a list of things that we need to be aware of and be looking at, basically, that all pertain to what you're talking about.
so it would be helpful if I found out about them,
We
the format other
don't
than
do
the agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
That's one thing. The other thing is that in terms of Davenport's financial projections, you need to back that up because Davenport probably will tell you that they want a month. So after we give them all the numbers, they're gonna want a month before they give you 5-year numbers.
When is Davenport, we talked about this at the last meeting, roughly, when are they talking about doing the 5-year? All right, good. So maybe November or December, but we will get there.
So I guess what I think is that Davenport, based on what we give them, is going to give you a revised projected FY '21.
Yes.
So if you're looking for a revised number for FY '21, that's probably where you should look to see it, rather than
Yes.
have us do that internally, is
Yes.
to have them incorporate all our assumptions into those numbers. But a revised FY '21 is an actual, it's a projected actual, it's not a budget adjustment.
Correct. Correct.
But what she's getting at is
We need to be like we're handling COVID. We need to be all on the same page and addressed on these things. couple work sessions, just so that the board and everybody's on the same exact plane, makes sense, and then we can get these numbers once we break up, and I assume what Bob's gonna do here in item 6 of old business, you start trying to break up and itemize this list of a whole hell of a lot of things, so that we can start to understand and figure out where our money situation is. And we are sitting on a good cash reserve in the general fund, which does give us a little bit of cushion. But in the grand scheme of things, if we do take a major revenue shortfall from the state of Virginia, then we may have to adjust our appropriated amounts. That sound right? Yeah. What else you got? Got anything else for us?
Not before my
What is
item 5.
what is the, you said that you would be able to come back to us potentially on the second meeting of October or September, excuse me, with the job description.
Yes.
Hopefully, we put job descriptions out for what, a month basically. Is that standard, I think? So we potentially could have a person full-time in this updated position by 1st of December. Or sometime in there.
So my observation would be that things don't generally get done that fast in Madison.
Well, nobody agrees with that. This is the government.
Well, so I guess my concern with that is that you're going to have a written job description, and it has to go to review, and it has to be graded in some sort of compensation study manner, then I suppose the board needs to look at it. And my guess is that process will take a month. And then if you decide that you want to advertise, and then you want to have a committee to interview the people, which is what we did the last time, that'll take another 2 to 3 weeks just to get that set up. So you know, I think it may be a little unrealistic to think that somebody's going to start here on December 1st, but that's just my, which is actually why I think it's so important to have somebody else that can at least do basic stuff like pay bills.
Yes. Like we've done with, again, I think probably the board saying more credit than what it is, with the planning and zoning office, and finding the right team to fit in there. This is an opportunity to do the same thing with your side. And it's far less, but if you can pull some of the workload off of you, make it not just accounts payable, but a little bit more than that, then spending a little bit extra time on it would be beneficial for everyone.
It's just that I can't, it's not that there's an available job description that I can cut and paste.
No, and it shouldn't be.
There's some
We're
thought
small
process that has to go into it. And I can't really find it, I had looked on the VACO website, I can't really find anything exactly comparable to what I think I would want.
But it's not a department head position, so we don't need to have that much involvement. This is something she can do.
Right. I tend to agree with that. I have seen in other cases where non-department head people have had to go through the interviews, but I mean, that significantly, it significantly slows the process.
Yeah, I don't
if
think
you
we
have
need
to
to.
set up interviews where 5 people have to sit in the room all at one time.
I agree. I'm a substantial pain in the neck. All right. Anybody got questions on this? I got one second.
So this payroll tax issue for any employees in here, it is a payroll tax deferral, okay?
Yeah.
That means the county would not withhold that 7.65% from you, but as of January 1st, you're gonna have to pay it back. Or the county agrees to pay it back on your behalf. Or if people leave our employee between now and then, we will get stuck with the bill. So just to make sure.
Payment.
So we
That's
talked
the
to
deal.
Sean, we talked to Sean
right.
about
I
this,
just-
and he's made recommendations. Sean, do you wanna say what you recommended?
There is
a diversity of opinion among other local government attorneys. Some are just ignoring it. I think that's the better option. The risk that we run if we honor these deferrals is if people leave the employment of the county, we're gonna have a hard time getting that money back next year because they're going to be gone. The third way is kind of, you give them notice, you have them fill out a form, they submit the form, and, you know, we're kind of stuck with it. We do have to notify the employees that they have this ability. But at the same time, we can discourage them from taking advantage of it.
So one of the suggestions was that we notify employees, but we require them to sign a promissory note back to the county. So that we don't end up on the hook for their.
We have very little turnover, so hopefully that works in our favor. But if a promissory note is what we need to do under legal advice, let's do that.
Got it.
The limitation of the promissory note is its collectability. If somebody leaves, you know, we're gonna have a hard time collecting. Plain and simple.
It's a hard thing to do, no matter how you do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel sorry for the employee come January 1st when they're having to make that back up. You know, we've talked to all our employees at Skyline Cab and nobody wants to do it because they don't want, as of January 1st, to have to pay it back. So anyhow, that's all.
Yes. All right, we're making progress. Good disclaimer, Artie. Anything else? Got anything else, Gordon?
No, sir.
All right. We've covered a bunch. Probably have not added a whole lot. Old business. Stop, tell us about state of emergency, Department of Labor, and Industry Requirements, CARES Act money.
Just wanted to do a quick survey on this, Oregon pandemic. To reiterate what John mentioned earlier, and I neglected to put it in my little report, but as of this afternoon, we were 95 positive tests in the county, six folks went to the hospital because of the pandemic, and we had 2 deaths. So those numbers are static, but they are the best we have. I would remind everybody that we are still in a state of emergency that on March 26th. That's not something to take lightly. I know that we hear complaints about from the state that at one point they were under 3 different states of emergency at one point. The pandemic, the hurricane, and other folks, these are not normal times. The CARES Act money is walking along, I should say. We've gone through a wish list, we've got sorting, we're in procurement now. Now the real effort's going to be on accounting and status reporting, because what we want to do is make sure we make as much use of the money as we can and not send any back. This is complicated because it is new money that we're on short notice for spending. We had some issues with money that's being spent, some grants money that was in the post-COVID budget was approved, so there's extra money theoretically there. Everything was an estimate, and then we need to settle and sort all this stuff going forward. And there are different funds involved. I know we're all focused on the core CARES Act money, but we've got several departments that qualified for the funding in different forms. So we're really receiving $2.7 million if you count the schools, sheriff, social, I'm not sure what social services yet on my list. So there's a lot of money. It's not a simple thing. The latest effort on my end has been this requirement that we do the COVID training as required by the Department of Labor and Industry. And so that goes, I need to go back and Jackson back here, Kelly, Brian, all been involved in this at some level, but to get all of the different things we've had to do to meet different requirements that can thrown at us. The Labor Standards Act stuff, the PPE, training people who meet all offices, and all this kind of stuff. Now we need to do it before we leave. So we circulated a document last week that we'll try to put the finishing touches on with a little bit of that study in the week that we are supposed to require all employees to have this training and certify that. So, and finally, so we do that together. I think several comments already on earlier about mandatory things that the state says we try to mitigate that somewhat. So the like state requires us. Forward with that. Came on this on more of a data basis, so that anybody's got a better idea. There's a good suggestion, or particularly when the rules change, we will adjust on the fly. Or must do all this. Situation changes every couple of days, so a lot of this just on staff. I would make a point that there's a question about coordinating with the schools and all that. And Jackson led this early on. We've had almost every Monday afternoon, we have a teleconference with sheriff, emergency services folks, schools, social services, compare notes on the pandemic, what who's doing what, and who can do what to help each other out. So we are doing some of that. Maybe the board wasn't aware of that. There are a lot of things behind the scenes that it is. I'd like to discuss those this pandemic, CARES Act, training, all those requirements. It's that has been done for a while. So obviously, we're going to be with the pandemic through Christmas beyond that, but there's something that we ought to be doing different, better.
Mr. Hobbs, are you guys planning on putting a training video on COVID-19 together for everybody to look at? Because we did that at Skyline and presented it last week, so we've already done it.
That's the scheme. I'm working on that. Finished up a draft of the slides today, then we need to develop the talking points and the newspaper. I hope to get that out by Friday.
Okay, I just thought it,
Does anybody have any problem with doing this administratively? I think that is more than appropriate. Anything that we need to be hitting on here, I think John Shearer deserves a tremendous amount for coordinating these phone calls on Monday, putting everybody on the same page. It's him that's doing, and Noah's part of it, and Jeff, and everybody and their brother. I mean, they're doing a great job. People ask for PPE, and it's like immediate. I mean, just unbelievable fast. Even with the state not doing a whole lot. So there you go. Any questions on that? All right, moving on. MJ, financial software project.
So,
Kind of.
as you know, our representatives, they're no longer calling themselves Think IT, they have rebranded as Cherry Digital, CG Digital, so I guess that's what we should call that from now on. But they're currently working with the 3 software vendors that we selected to negotiate final contracts and pricing. And they anticipate that being done by September 16th. That's contingent upon a lot of working parts, and I would say that it may be a little bit later than that, but they are very aware of the fact that we need to get approval on the September 22nd. So I would ask the board for some flexibility with the rule about the Wednesday before the board meeting, because although they can try, there's a lot of people involved in this process and it may not materialize.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what we anticipate is final pricing on September 22nd. We'll still need to go through the county attorney here. In the meantime, the server infrastructure must be in place by early. It basically involves, and this is what Bruce was talking about earlier, you have to buy 3 new servers. You need a maintenance contract, probably with ANS. Actually, I think IT has talked to ANS, and they say that ANS probably your bill rate is cheaper than anybody else, because we can use that clock to $150 an hour. And there's some other hardware that needs to be purchased. I think the current estimate is that that's around $60,000. That was in the 194 of CARES Act money that I said, I believe that 60,000 they got of CARES money. So I'm assuming that I can carve out a piece of the appropriation CARES money for this. We have to do procurement. We must get complete procurement probably within the next 5 to 7 business days on this. So I'm assuming I can use CARES allocations for that money. We had talked about originally trying to put a server room in for, I don't know, the old one. That actually is not going to work because we have to have a working server with software licenses before we can really start the implementation. It has to be installed. So we've decided to put the new servers for the ERP. The best solution is to put them in the 911 server. I think IT currently is estimating that the first phase of implementation should start in late October. I can't talk about vendors right now because we're still, but it's with primary general ledger. That would be the person that would start out there. Because they're the backbone of the whole system. So their schedule is going to drive this. The software vendors have promised more detailed schedule of work to be performed in hours. However, they can't do that on a really fine-tuned basis until they actually start the process, because I guess they spend some time doing a business requirement analysis, and they won't do that until after you sign contracts with them. So you can't, this idea that we can get, hard and fast numbers on hours, on how much time all this is going to take. I think we can, hopefully we're going to see something that's a little bit more fleshed out, but we aren't going to get to some detailed schedule that if you're looking for something that's 3 or 4 pages long, it's going to explain the hours that Think IT thinks they need. I don't think you're going to get that. Think IT, the Think IT contract, the independent project assurance contract, that contract went to the board in June. And the board has still not yet approved it, because apparently there's concerns about the number of hours that, or the accountability that Think IT has for how they account for the time. And with that in mind, I distributed the last bill that we got from Think IT, which is, we have to pay this. But they keep extremely detailed records of their time. And I know that there were some concerns about the structure of the contract, and that we would be committing to paying them a certain amount without proper level of accountability. I wanted to show you the accountability that they provide to us on a monthly basis of how we spend the money. It's very detailed. I would also like to point out that this arrangement, the arrangement that Think IT has requested is not that dissimilar to the arrangement we have for our county attorney, which is the county attorney, we pay the county attorney a monthly amount, and without real details on billable hours. So it's based on an estimate of the amount of time that the county attorney thinks he needs to spend on Madison County as a client. And that's the same thing that Think IT did in their independent project assurance contract. But really, the only thing I'm worried about is that contract has been through 4 levels of review, or 4 rounds of review. And I really, if we don't get that signed at the next meeting, we don't get it signed at the next meeting, it will start to hold up our budget. You won't have a consultant.
Where are we here on this contract?
I provided Ms. Costello with my comments. There's kind of a flat fee billing on it, and if you don't use all of the time in a month, you lose the ability to recover that. Looking at the document that was presented earlier, we have 6 hours for travel to Madison County for a board meeting from Richmond.
No, it's not Richmond. One came from South Carolina and the other one came from Atlanta.
But they bill out of Richmond and what I understood. So they don't work in their mailing address is Richmond.
Right, that's where they're making.
The billing is for actual distance.
Yeah, they have done very little. They've only been on the premises twice, once for the very first meeting and once for this last meeting. And obviously, based on the expenses, that's actually most of the reason that they overran their budget so far has been the travel costs associated with the 2 of them coming to that last meeting.
But going back, I had provided my comments. I was not, if I am the reason for the holdup, I apologize. I was not aware of it. I provided my comments with regard to what we were doing. Now, with regard to my contract, I don't think it's ever been based on an estimate of hours. It was candidly, I just used the historical relationship the county had with the shop.
Cal might help me out with this, but I think, well, the reason we held up early on was there's this question about how the vendor contracts are going to be arranged. So that was unknown at that time.
Yeah, who was gonna do what?
Right.
In what capacity?
Of course, I was still trying to nail it. But
So that has
it sounds
to be-
like this might come together and use up them about that.
Are we going to go to get, are we going to be able to get this within the next 2 meetings to us so that we can potentially approve this? So we don't slow this process down anymore. I know Brian's real happy with the current program, but we need to get this implementation so we can stay on some type of timeline.
And so we're okay to get them paid though,
To get them paid through, like, to finish
through
out
this
their,
invoice
well, they're just, the supplement was in the.
and the consent, yeah.
Yeah, they can finish out their second, the phase they're in right now,
Okay.
which ends when they have, I think they basically want to be done by the 27th on this contract.
So let's try to get a contract together.
But I think the thing is that we don't want to, I mean, I don't know whether, what you're gonna get at the next meeting is gonna change anything in the proposed contract that's been around since.
All right, it may not change at all.
But at least we
Sean
have
Gregg is
something.
gonna look it over one more time. MJ looked over, I think Cardi on this since he's IT committee. Hobbs is on there as well. Let's see if we can get a contract back to us next meeting, hopefully, and then we can move on with it from there.
Just one more thing, that
All right.
the money for the Think IT contract has already been appropriated. It was appropriated in June.
All right,
So there's nothing, the only thing that needs to be done is for the board to approve the signing of it.
yes. Get us a contract, let's get it back to us, we can take care of this upcoming meeting, hopefully. Sound reasonable? All right, so we're making some type of progress on this major project. Anything else on this one? Budget adjustment workshop, Ms. Hobbs.
This is a conversation about when we want to go through this. This is an exercise that the board agreed to back in the spring, as before, we got a COVID season, we had insurance about the impact on revenues, state was going to do the rest of anything. changing cost structures. We pay for. We had a lot of unknowns at that point when it came to the capital projects and the financing. So the scheme was projected fall and revisit this, whether beginning budget amendments or not. So that was, so what I would work to is an October 7th work session, with an amended budget showing the original budget and all adjustments since then on the board. That would include, I guess, out of the box, this business about we have freed up money in this year's budget for bond proceeds from that. Work with the Commissioner Treasurer to discuss about local values and if anything is shifted there. It sounds like we're in pretty good shape, but we can get the fiscal year 20 numbers outside of we should have a better grip on that and compare that to whatever comes out of the legislature. You have a better idea of where the CARES Act funding goes. Source of funding side. On the outright side, we are going to have additional monies to spend when it comes to this business about internet services for the school system, body camera stuff that's approved today. And there's a school body position. And I'll work with a few other things that we haven't talked about. So it'll be a good time to kind of put all that into context. So we have had a series of other changes to expenses. This is about shifting money from the operating budget and the CARES Act and back and forth, just to do that. Exercise. By the October meetings, I think we should have bids for the county administration building. All these budgets really have general in the past 6 months. They were very much unknown. Risky or suspect. What we have is more as the mid-year budget review.
Okay.
Understand what's going on.
Wow. It's all of it. It's a good idea. It's a good idea to do, and I like the idea of doing a mid-season budget review, especially with all the sheer pandemonium that we've been through. It's 5 o'clock before the planning meeting on the 7th. It's a big deal. Dobbs and MJ will come up with, and John Gregg will come up with what we need. Good luck. Yes, sir.
So I need a clear idea, and the sooner the better, not 1 week in advance and not 2 weeks in advance. I need a list of deliverables of what you expect from me for that budget.
I'll let you next tomorrow. I like that.
And I will have to evaluate whether I can get that done. I'm not sure I will be able to.
Let's try it for the 7th. If we can't get it all done on the 7th, we can schedule another one of these meetings. No big deal at all.
Got it.
All right. Moving on. Let's go to any other old business? What? Not well. Mr. Jackson, tell us about EMS lease adjustments, the ID pumps, and a couple other needs.
Sure. So the lease adjustment, David James, our landlord, has agreed to reduce our rent by $100 a month, provided we install and fill a propane tank for our backup generator. So I think that's the lease adjustment that's on there. The cost of installing the tank and having it filled the first time is $2,088.10. Includes the permitting fees. That'll also do our heat as well for the winter time. Any questions on that one? Ma'am.
Are you going to provide me with a list of the budget adjustments that we need for all these changes? Because I hadn't heard about this.
There you go.
Sorry?
I can certainly ask Noah about that and help put it together.
There you go. Keep going.
Alright, Medic 20, which is our newest ambulance, there's a request for $6,700 for an extended warranty to cover basically all of the moving parts of the ambulance. Then 2 new ambulances are already have those included, so we can have the entire fleet protected. Questions there? Those 2 are not CARES initiatives. The rest of them I'm going to go through are all CARES requests. Requesting $8,390 to replace our current IV pumps. That equipment gives very specific dosing of medications to patients, and our current pumps are 10 years old. You can imagine those bouncing up and down the road and kind of getting the abuse of it every day, so probably start changing things out. That's our first request there. We're also requesting a $9,789.99 for an advanced life support mannequin. This is called an ALS mannequin, which allows our staff to train for advanced life support situations that they don't see all the time. One of the pitfalls of being in a kind of a rural county is that we go a lot further into in-depth care than you would say in the city. So that training, while it's uncommon to do, the procedures are vitally important. So that's another thing we're asking for. Our third request is a Lucas chest compression device. That's in the amount of $15,867.20. We currently carry those devices in all of our apparatus right now, and this one will be placed in the new Response 1, which I believe has already been budgeted for. So that equipment would go on to that. Also asking for $34,574 for an additional LifePak 15 cardiac monitor. Again, we have one of those in all of our apparatus, and this would go into the new EMS chief vehicle, so you will be able to respond to emergency communication with that monitor. Any question on this so far?
Keep going, we'll get there.
All right. Fair enough. We're also requesting $50,000 for a mass casualty incident trailer. This trailer is, we currently actually have an old van with mass casualty supplies right now. I don't know the exact age of the van, but it's, I know we've poured a significant amount of money into it. It's starting to be on its last leg. So with this trailer, we can put our triageable equipment, our mass casualty equipment, our active shooter equipment all in one spot, have it movable by multiple vehicles. It also includes a generator and air conditioning. So when we have a situation like a search in the river or a recovery situation where we're out there operating for a couple of days at a time, we kind of have a base so I can manage situation. Emergency management can share in that as well. And I believe this is our last ask right here. We're requesting $6,260 in critical care class reimbursement. Critical care training is integral to using the ventilators that we already have approved and understanding how to use those correctly. So those classes are very important for our medics to be able to understand how to implement ventilation with the mechanic ventilation, kind of old school squeezing the bag to actually machine so that's one of the list of questions can I answer.
I don't think it's you. Or you got a total where we're at on CARES money? 'Cause, I mean,
Oh, no, I did not roll that into this.
that's where the reason I asked that is that we're somewhere around 100. Jeff just asked for about 150K. Last
We were at
year
56.
56, yeah, exactly. Oh, absolutely. There's gonna be a true up. Looks like we'll start on that true up sometime in late October probably, but maybe on October 7th. I'm skeptical of that, but I don't think we're gonna get there. But definitely by November. And we know that it was appropriate. A lot of the things that we approved with the CARES funding that Bob's provided were kind of guesses. And I mean, what else could you do? So we know we will need some of this. Is there stuff on here that can wait but be delivered before December 30th?
I would say that, yeah, there's several items on the list that can wait. A lot of the more expensive cardiac monitor and chest compression devices, the vehicles aren't expected to be in until the end of December. I think that's something that
there's not like, for the light pack at 34.5.
So if you get approval,
Yeah.
the number could be here by Christmas.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what's the
Okay,
lead
so-
time?
Yeah, all right.
Haven't you already, in the existing CARES fund, haven't you already bought 2 chest compressions and 2 life pack cardiac monitors?
Correct, I believe.
This is the third of the 20.
I believe so, because each ambulance would have.
They have to have
So, in other words, everything on your list that says CARES is in addition to everything that's already been approved and that you have signed purchases right now.
That's my understanding.
That is correct.
So, but like, I mean, all right, so work with us here, Jeff, a little bit.
Sorry.
The IV pumps, I mean, well, we have all of this stuff. Hopefully, we will not use, some of it we'll use a lot more than others, hopefully. I mean, do we want to see if we can get some totals at this upcoming meeting, the second meeting in September?
With an updated list.
And then see where we're at on monies and kind of give Jeff and Noah, some approvals then.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all want the IV pumps to give the accurate amount of medicine. That seems important to me. In the same regard, I mean, it seems foolish to approve money that we don't know we actually have.
Well, yeah, I think, as we go through this stuff, there are certain things, we still haven't talked about Boys and Girls Club yet. I mean, if there are going to be some items out there for outside agencies. I think outside agencies should move to the bottom of the list. We got to take care of the county, our own first. Of course, if we approve it and then they order it, then it's committed and all that. But I mean, I think we got to take care of our own first. We got to adjust somewhere else.
Let's see if we can get an updated list at the second meeting in September. And then all of these we take note of, and they will be the first thing that we address on the list. Does that seem reasonable?
So
I'm
people,
gonna cut them a check, like Boys and Girls Club is an example. I think everybody thinks it's important, even though it's only for 4th and 5th grade.
Well, I did
what's
get
the
more.
level?
Yeah, I talked to the CEO today, actually. And they are opening up to more grades. So the more staffing they can get, the more students they can serve. But they are serving, so if your kids are going 2 days a week, they're serving them the rest of the week at Boys and Girls Club. But they're able to stay online. You have to stay online. You have to complete projects, but they are expanding. So staffing and space is their issue.
Is it still only 9 weeks for 104?
They are following, yes, they're following the school's 124,000 for the 9 weeks.
I'm telling you, I mean, how?
And they will be a part of the lunch and the breakfast and the lunch for free for all the students as well. That the schools are providing. No. Mm-mm.
So basically, the only thing, I mean, what is the $125,000 we're talking about? That sort of thing, yeah. Sort of.
but we got to make room.
We've gone down there. Yeah. It's basically just salaries.
Salaries,
They're not paying for space. They're
No.
not paying for food, electricity, I mean, what?
it's all of the requirements, the PPE, I'm assuming the sneeze guards, the things to make them 6 feet apart, desk, hookups, capability for their computers.
I think
That's-
it's not what it is. I'm sorry. I mean, it just, if it's only 9.
And I can't get any more details.
I was just gonna wonder if now's not the time to justify some of his requests.
Oh, no, I think, is everybody on board that Jeff's requests are good?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
Okay, I just wanna make sure because if you need any kind of clarification, I throw it out there about the, third monitor, all that good stuff. Both our ambulances are at, hospital somewhere in Charlottesville, whatever. That Noah, by himself, could respond in that response vehicle at CPR started with the machine and good work. So I think that's one of the ideas. I didn't know if you wanted to justify that stuff now.
Does, obviously one public safety corner, you on board with this back there in the other public safety corner? So we've got three that all support Jeff Jackson's, recommendations. Everybody on board with this? Let's come back. Let's come back to the second meeting in September.
And I'll have more details.
And
I'm
I
gonna
think
get
we need to get the
details of where the money
try to
is.
check to the Boys and Girls Club.
Well, I have an award agreement drafted first. Do you want them
Yes.
to call in?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's better. That's better than,
Explain
yeah.
the key to their call. Because
And James Pierce is who I talked to, the CEO, so that's who we can request.
I mean, they're.
Every locality is supporting all their the
The
clubs.
school support the Boys and Girls Club. We know that, and they're doing much more than childcare, but we know that is needed.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it just don't make any sense to me, and I think that I agree.
No, the number
with
we're
Lori. I think that's been the intent, since we started spending this $2.7 million, 2.4 from us, they are 2.24 from us. I think that we need to take it carry in the house before we start doing all this other stuff. And Boys and Girls Club is important, but there's some other ones that not just Boys and Girls Club that are frankly outside organizations that they need to be reevaluated. And
But I will say, as someone who's got an employee who is desperately depending on the Boys and Girls Club to get her through this fall and to still work, I mean, she's desperate for them to add the additional.
I mean, I'm in the same predicament. I just want to know what the 124,000 is being broken down, how it's being used.
So I just point out one thing, which is that, although this is not revenue replacement because they're asking you to pay for the program, one of the reasons they're asking you to pay for the program is because they have lost a lot of they've lost a lot of their funding streams. So they're looking for additional funding streams.
I suspect that they're different, but I would suspect that they have gotten some CARES money, not just from localities, but directly. And maybe I'm completely incorrect. They haven't gotten anything. Only the localities are getting their money.
They probably got some of the payroll protection, but I don't think they've gotten anything for their programs.
Let's get them out here in front of us so we understand what we're giving $125,000 to.
I mean, that's an example of actually what I was talking about doing due diligence with I've actually had that conversation with them because you can't double dip on them. So for example, if they had any employee that was being covered, their payroll was being covered through another CARES funding stream, they have to be extremely careful that they don't charge us for that person's time as well. And they are definitely aware of that rule.
All right. Was the money budgeted prior to March 1? No.
All right, so at the next meeting, we've got the medical, the warranty business, and the generator. There will be a budget adjustment that the board will approve on the operating line. And we've got these 6 scared for us.
A list, and then we should request Boys and Girls Club to submit us some paperwork, a breakdown of what these costs are associated to. And what their plan is to keep going. What grade is your employees get in?
He's in 3rd or 4th, whatever grade it is they cut off.
Yeah, so it's only 4th and 5th right now.
This seems crazy to me. Let's see if we can get these people to provide us some information. Everybody's good on the generator and the extended warranty, which is not CARES, and everybody is in favor of working with Jeff and Noah and our fine EMS people on these other requests that are $115,000.
Yeah.
Everybody's nodding in a good way. Thank you very much. Thank you for your response. All right. Noah's on vacation this week. Let's go, good. Mr. Gordon, tell us what KVM switches do.
All right, a KVM switch is basically consolidation of political devices between the two. In layman's terms, you got 5 computers, you got 5 mics, 5 people. What I've learned over the last 6 months is the more we contaminate, the more risk we have of contaminating staff. I've got 12 employees on my full staff. If I lose 2 on a shift, I lose 2 in shift change. And then the spiral just goes down the hole. If we lose 4 people, we lost a third of our workforce. The idea behind this switch is it cuts down on spaces I'm contaminating if I have somebody come in my office, and so on and so forth. Listen to the conversation I just had, and I'll just go back on, because Florence White are cheap. But before KVM switches, running, the quote I got, they're already in stock, they can be here in a couple of weeks, total of $2289.72.
Hey, I hate to say, I'm with you 100%. And not to shoot you down back there, Jeff, but Jeff just asked for 115K. You're asking for $2,289. I think we should add this on the list for this upcoming meeting. We have a kind of a summation of where we're at with our CARES money, and we can knock this thing out pretty quickly. Does everybody sort of understand what Brian's asking for with the KVM switches?
Yeah.
Anything else to add, Brian Gordon? All right, there you go. And you will be able to get these things delivered.
In stock, I have to close it in stock that day. Couple days, let's say FedEx delivery.
All right, put it to the list. All right. Anybody got any questions on that? Information and correspondence. What do you got, Bob?
Correspondence from folks on Leather's Lane, asking for review of their construction proposal that just came in. This is today. So we'll be looking at that. We'll be looking at that. Probably copy of these things.
It's just for like 2 miles long.
Sweet. Maybe 3/4 of a mile.
We talk about it all the time. It's amazing. Great thing. All right, anything else, Bob? Sean, Greg, you got anything to add to this?
I do not, thank you.
Anybody else got any information and correspondence? All right, back to public comment. Public comment. Livingston, what do you got on the Vimeo?
I got some folks watching, but nobody's saying nothing.
I got 3 people watching, and one of them's me, Livingston.
Yeah, but on Vimeo, we got 8.
You got 8 on Vimeo?
Wow, fancy.
There's 3. I'm counting on you.
Oh, 8 total, sorry, you're right.
You're right. You're attracting quite the crowd.
Busted by the chair.
Well, no, I don't know. It's you, me, and one other person that's watching. All right, no more public comment. We do have to go into closed session this evening. Thank you all for coming. You got this all.
I'm moving the board convene in a closed session pursuant to Virginia Code sections pursuant to 2.2-37. For discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for public purpose, for discussion and open meeting with adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiation strategy of the board, and 2.2-37-11-829. Discussion of the terms of the scope of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds, or discussion in open session with adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Closed session. Thank you all.